This is our captured hive that we got over in Abington out of a hollow log at a wood yard. And a month later, it's still going strong. It appears to be increasing bees, and they build a lot of hive, if you will, new hive. And there's lots of activity going on there, so we can assume that we have an active hive there, and we're going to treat it as such. It's interesting. First attempt of really putting a captive hive, not necessarily a swarm. A swarm is much easier to control than a captive hive. But the wildflower garden is starting to grow. Look how tall these bee balm are. Good 3 feet or more. Yep. It's getting to be Memorial Weekend. It's Thursday. Here's my Queen Anne's lace, formerly known as a carrot. I got all sorts of little flowers growing in here, and purple clover. These yellow ones are pretty good, pretty invasive I think, but there's a lot of them. The Johnny Jump Ups, always one of my favorites. They're hiding over there. And the early daisies popped up in this corner with the chives. Interesting, because there's a lot of daisies around, and these are the first ones to flower, if you will. And there's my sage bush that I saved from the porch, growing really well. So basically that's hive number 1. Alright, coming through the garden at the back side today. Haven't got much going on in this corner yet, but I will. And this is where I hive the double warray. And there are some issues with that hive, but I think we got them solved. We'll find out. And some potatoes in this area, along with some flowers and sunflowers that are going to help block the sun in the middle of summer. A lot of potatoes this year. These are all potatoes. Those are all mains. These are russets and reds. Got some giant pumpkins going to come out of the ground there any day now. And that's my giant pumpkin patch this year, for you Charlie Brown fans. There's my rock wall and the other hive that we just installed. We call that one the hacienda. Come around. The tomatoes are up against the wall where they'll get plenty of heat. Tomatoes like heat. And then we have some other second-year potatoes growing out of this particular patch of ground that my son and his wife Kate are tending to, with some squashes and things like that in here. Some giant sunflowers going to come along the fence here. We'll see how it comes out. The bee balm, growing well. It's not as tall as the other side, but it's long been established. Got a good crop of milkweeds, and there he is, Mr. Wonderful himself. Or is it Sad Sack? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to put a bird bath on top of there for the bees to have water and the birds. Squash, peppers. Purple peppers this year. Something different. Broccoli, a little sporadic over there. I see where we have what looks to be like snail traps set out by my son Dan, and it's filled with a good Heineken beer. There's a couple of them. We're going to start thinning out the snails. They are a problem. I can't blame anybody. I brought them here from Quincy with my sons, and I'm guilty on a lot of that transfer of bullshit. Alright. Sundale says it's a little after 5, so it must be almost supper time. The potatoes are already flowering. It isn't even June 1st, and allegedly 2 weeks after they flower you'll find potatoes as big as hen's eggs if you really needed them. But we'll see what comes up. I'm looking at these heads on the onions. This is the best looking onion crop I ever got, but these are all ones that grew as clumps, and I put them in the ground in February because it was so warm out. I mean, look at that one. There you go. That's a pretty good size round. That's a lot bigger round than yeah, crazy. Be interesting to see what comes out of this. Those are all onions I planted early this year, and again at the end of February, because it was so warm the ground was malleable, so we planted them all. Why not? You can dig in the ground, you can plant an onion. Well, my specialty potatoes seem to have grown. I might have lost one plant, and I think it ended up in the compost pile. So, and that's growing too. So, butternut squash. Can't have too much butternut squash, and they'll grow in this whole area. I'm reserving the whole space for them this year. The daisies in the garden haven't bloomed yet. The asters have. And I have some other stuff going on in the corner, purple cones or whatever they call them. Alright, ever since I've trimmed out that other one, this plant has really taken off and looked really sharp. This is a common malign, and allegedly has medicinal purposes that can be served. Berries. Got some nice blueberries this year. Gonna have to cover them up soon before the birds get to them. This is my best blueberry bush. Usually has the best berries. And those robins, don't ever believe them that they are worm eaters, because they'll eat your berries faster than you can shake a stick at them. They put on a good front, but I've watched them too many times. Jerusalem artichokes. Let's see, last year I had 12 here. Want to count them? I'm going to get some tubers out of this mess, and then I'm going to have to start digging them out, because they're spreading everywhere. Look at them, how far away they are. That's them right there. Right there. And that only comes, that doesn't come from seeds, that comes from rhizomes. Oh well, he made it. Once again, whatever you do, don't get any clover in your lawn. Poison the world instead. Makes much more sense.